Well, Netflix seems pretty much hell-bent on putting out a mid-tier action film once a month, so in that vein, here's a look at The Old Guard. There's a nice middling intro for a middling film. Charlize Theron stars as Andy, leader of a ragtag group of mercenaries who intervene in conflicts around the world. They're on the side of the angels, at least in theory. They try to save lives and protect innocents, and they're the best of the best. But they hide a surprising secret. They're functionally immortal, with their youngest member just over 200 years old, and they can heal from any wound they receive. That's mostly kept them safe from harm, but after taking on a dubious job, they find themselves set up and double-crossed, with the added complication of a new member being added to their team. It's a really interesting premise to hang an action movie around, and the range of historical backgrounds for the characters makes it interesting too. There's lovers Joe and Nikki, who met in the Crusades, Booker, a veteran of the Napoleonic Wars, and Andy, short for Andromache of Scythia, who is crazy old. I was surprised as well by how carefully the film reveals that premise. You have a few subtle hints of paranoia in the opening minutes, but what little reference there is to their age and how kind of like they feel about all the wars they've been in comes across as being jaded by war, like countless other action protagonists. And then of course they wade into battle with swords and all the subtlety goes out of the window. Oh well. The film keeps up a good pace with plenty of globe-trotting action. Well, I mean, I say globe-trotting. It has that slightly cheap feel of a movie that has bigger ambitions than its budget, and it certainly uses a lot of stock footage to kind of piece itself together. Still, its action set pieces hit hard. It really seems like they spent the money there. They're well choreographed, and they mostly run on rule of cool. It might not be terribly realistic to see a battle axe win out against body armor and machine guns, but it does rock, and that's the most important thing. Now I think of it, that approach actually applies to most of the film, which is generally more interesting than good, I'd say. For instance, after the initial setup, there's a heavy sequence of info dumping on the new team member. We see flashbacks of backstory for all of the team members, lots of explaining of their powers and the kind of limits and the rules applied to them, and so on. It's unwieldy, and the explanatory dialogue is pretty schlocky too. Charlize Theron says, "I lead a group of immortals, an army I guess," and so on. I mean, it's 4 people, as another character points out. It's not really an army. We meet the villain of the film at the same time, who I would describe as singularly underwhelming. He's drawn from that newest stereotype of stock villains, you know, the Silicon Valley genius with a secret dark side. You can tell he's that kind of baddie versus the garden variety millionaire because he has a hoodie on under his blazer. Luckily for the viewers, the cast of the film is great, and their chemistry with each other bears you through the worst of the dialogue and into the punchy fight scenes. Charlize Theron, of course, is predictably good value for money. She rocks this hardcore warrior act really well. And Kiki Lane, previously seen in If Beale Street Could Talk, does a believable job of playing the new kid, who's, you know, having all that information exposited to her. But for me, the standouts are Luca Marinelli and Marwan Kenzari as the aforementioned Crusades couple. Kenzari gets this sudden burst of passion in a beautifully written and well-acted scene where he has this speech about his love for his partner, and it's just a real breath of fresh air, considering the general tokenism, I would say, around LGBT representation in big films currently. You know, that kind of thing where Disney's Twitter will like trumpet the sexuality of a character pre-release, only for you to watch the film and realize it doesn't figure in the plot or the dialogue, and in fact you have to buy the accompanying material, the visual dictionary, or, you know, an easily cuttable side scene where they might kiss their partner. Boo that, yay this, more explicit representation, please. Now, if you can tell by my relatively light plot summary, the film is pretty much completely froth, but there are a few good ideas dotted here and there. How much of a problem that is for you depends on your approach to the film. In my eyes, it's a bit of a waste of a premise that has lots of potential. But then again, I didn't come to the film expecting subtlety or insight. I wanted cool gunfights, and I got that. Yippee. Looking forward to Netflix's next mid-budget blockbuster. That's it from me, but as ever, I'd love to hear what you have to say about The Old Guard in the comments below. So let's have a chat about this film that seems to just be like Highlander but with guns, and that's not a problem for me. Have a good one. Bye for now.